Welcome to Season 2 of the Grier Podcast. For each episode, we will discuss a new topic about life at Grier School. This week's topic is dance and the Grier Gala. I'm Maya, I'm in 11th grade, and I've been at Grier for 3 years.
I'm Jada, I'm in 10th grade, and I've been at Grier for 4 years.
I'm Lexi, I'm in 12th grade, and I've been at Grier for 6 years.
So when did you guys start dancing?
I started dance when I was like 2.5 or 3. Yeah, and I've just been kind of doing it ever since.
Yeah, I started dance when I was 3. I also did cheer and baton and lots of instruments, so definitely dance was something that I loved out of all this, so I kept doing it.
Yeah, I feel like we've all had I went through every sport, but it all just kind of circled back to dance.
How did you guys decide that dance was your sport?
Well, for me, I was obsessed with my tutu when I was a child, and I never took it off, and so my parents were like, oh, well, we just have to put her in dance, and then I kind of took it from there, I guess, but...
Yeah, I'd say, honestly, the tutu is where it starts. But I grew up going to see the Nutcracker in Pittsburgh, and I loved watching them. I mean, they look insane, so why wouldn't I love to do it? So, yeah, and then I started doing Nutcracker when I was little, and kind of just kept going from there.
Nice. So how did you guys decide to come to Grier for dance, or did you come to Grier for dance?
I did, it was 50-50 with dance. I came here mostly for dance, but it was also for academics and everything else with that type of thing. But I sort of just came to Grier because we passed it all the time when we used to go to a lake. And so we used to pass it all the time, and so we just kind of were like, we should check that out. Took a tour and ended up really liking it, and yeah. Lexi was actually one of the people on my tour, and so I was just like, oh, wow, this place seems so cool, and yeah.
Yeah, so I actually started going to Grier Summer in my 3rd grade year. So I did Grier Summer for a few years, and I met Jossie and Danielle, and I decided that I really liked it here. And I was also really big into academics like Jada, so I wanted to be able to keep dance and academics. So, yeah, and I came to Grier Summer. I came to a few galas, a few motions, and yeah, that's how I decided to come to Grier.
How do you guys feel is dance different here than it was before you guys came?
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like you can't even compare it. We always say all the time, when we have motion and gala, especially all those things, you just see how different dance is outside. Not saying one way is better than the other, but there's a distinct difference between the type of dance that we do here and between other schools, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I'd say what we were exposed to here is definitely more of a concert style as opposed to, I'd say, a lot of schools around for high school especially are competition based. And I'd say we definitely stray away from that. It's more concert style, definitely performance based, so less competition, but yeah.
How do you guys, what does your schedule look like for a weekly?
So every day, Monday through Thursday, we have dance from 2:30 to 6:30. So that would be 8th period, and then after school. Fridays we usually do a stretch class during 8th period, so it's pretty chill on Friday. But Monday and Wednesdays we usually do a 3-hour ballet class with Jossie, and then we do our rep for the week. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays we'll usually do ballet and contemporary with Danielle, and then do her rep.
So what is Grier Gala?
Gala is something that Jossie has created where, she invites all these different schools, and, it's really, a pool for professional companies. They all come and watch us. We perform on the Friday night, and then Saturday and Sunday we take classes with, all these different companies from, 9 until 2:30. And then we have, Q&As and everything, and we get to see them perform then, and so it's really a full circle, and it's just great.
Yeah, and the whole weekend filled with classes. Lots of scholarships are given out to summer intensives, which I think is great because summer intensives are great to work on your training over the summer. And just the whole weekend, you get to meet so many new people. You'll never know when you'll see them again. All the college auditions, you could see someone you met at Gala, and it's just nice to have somebody in that environment. So yeah, it's a great weekend.
And then tell me more about the choreographers that come.
Yeah, so for Gala, around 10 to 12 choreographers come, and they teach different classes throughout the weekend. They're usually part of companies that come perform. But throughout the year, we usually have like 5 or 6 choreographers come and set works on us, just on the PrePro company. So they'll be here Monday through Thursday, Friday for a residency, and they'll teach us rep from their company, rep that they set other places. It's really cool to be able to experience that rep as a high school student, honestly. So Monday through Thursday, we usually work on the piece, anywhere from 5 to 12 minutes. We've had a lot of big names come through. Martha Graham Company, set by Elizabeth Auclair, Darrell Moultrie, Robert Battle. Pretty much a full spectrum of choreographers, Joshua Pulatsky.
And I feel like with the guest choreographers coming, like, instead of just having our regular teachers who you get comfortable with, and you get comfortable with their type of choreography and their styles, you really get a lot of diversity, like, with the guest choreographers that come, and you really get to, like, expand your horizons within dance.
Yeah, I'd say they also kind of have a different perspective on, like, say, giving corrections. I know that's, like, a big thing I find throughout the different choreographers, like, technique-wise, but also performance-based, like, how you can show this emotion in a different way that maybe, like, our regular teachers aren't saying on a daily basis, and it kind of just clicks in your head when the choreographers come.
How do you feel like the choreographers coming, like, helps your dance styles? And
I'd say it kind of opens you up into, like, more
definitely.
diversity.
And, like, everything they tell you, like, you get to carry with you. Like, it doesn't just go away. Like, it really sticks, and then you can take that into, like, the next guest choreographer that comes, and, like, with your regular teachers, and it really just is a great improvement.
Yeah, and I think we get exposed to a lot of different styles, too. Like, we had commercial last week, sometimes more modern-based, more ballet-based. Kind of just depends on who's coming in.
Yeah.
And what kind of dances do you guys work on at Gala, not at Gala? Any favorites?
Yeah, so we kind of range in styles, I'd
Yeah,
say.
I'd
We
say.
have a mix of everything almost. Ballet, contemporary, modern, jazz. It's pretty much open to it all. I'd say my favorite is probably either Koresh. It's a modern dance, and we wear goggles. I really like it a lot. It's definitely different from, like, a typical dance, I'd say. Or Daniel's contemporary. I think the message behind it's really nice, and I just like the dance.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we, like, do every style, and then especially with Gala, there's not really a specific style that we do. Like, it's always sort of open to whatever the people coming in want to do or want to see us do. And, like, here, Lexi already said all the styles we do, but my personal favorites are probably also Danielle's contemporary. It's just, like, a great message given, and you can really, like, I feel like you can really connect with that dance, like, whether you're on stage or watching. So, yeah.
So you guys are both pre-pro dancers. So did you started out in a beginner class, or where did you guys start?
So actually, I have a really funny story.
Oh,
So
boy.
I started dancing here actually in 6th grade, in the second half of my 6th grade year, because my studio closed. So I was like, I really want to go to Grier. I didn't really want to transition to another studio before I came to Grier in 7th grade. So I started here in the spring of my 6th grade year. And I started dancing here. I took beginner classes and intermediate classes. It was a full day. I was here right after school, 3:30 to 6:30. And then my 7th and 8th grade year, I was in intermediate advanced, still kind of the same schedule, busy. And then my 9th grade year, I was in PrePro, and I've been in PrePro since.
For me, I came here and I was initially, like, in 7th grade, I was initially in all intermediate classes, but I also took some beginner classes for, like, extra practice. Like, beginner ballet is a really great way, like, to get extra technique and, like, really just work on yourself. But I was mostly taking intermediate classes, and then my 8th and 9th grade year, I was in intermediate advanced, and then this year, my 10th grade year, I was bumped up into PrePro. So, yeah, it's just been kind of taking it from there.
Yeah, and I feel like all the levels here are pretty much, you get the same thing. It's just how hard you work, like, honestly. I think it's however hard you want to take it.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
if you start in beginner, you could stay in beginner if you want to. Like, it's just up to how much time you want to put into it, honestly.
Like, especially how much, like, time and effort. Like intermediates have pretty much the same hours as us during the day, like -1, but they have pretty much the same schedule, but it's a little bit more dedication to the.
It's kind of like what you put into it outside the studio.
Yeah.
Like, we have to watch the videos, like, of our rep at night to make sure we have it, especially when the choreographers are here.
And we also have this thing, like, it's extra help, and, like, you can go to your teachers during the day. It's, like, a 40-minute period for, like, your academics. But, like, me and, like, a bunch of other people in PrePro, we always go during extra help and, like, practice our dances. Like, that's time taken, like, more away from our academics that we're, like, putting all of ourselves into the dance, so.
Yeah, especially, I feel like a lot of the choreography we have, the music is challenging. There's not really counts usually. You kind of just have to listen to it and, like, feel it as a group. I think that's something that's different, like, about the pre-pro level from intermediate. The group is so tight that, like, we're able to feel it, like, without counts and, like, kind of read what's on each other's minds.
Yeah, you definitely have to be able to, like, read each other more as well as, like, being able to, like, get it yourself. You have to make sure that everybody else is getting it and you're all connected, and you can tell that on stage. Like, I feel like
you're a unit. Like,
Do you feel like people can move up quickly within the company, or do you feel like it's kind of?
I feel like it depends on the person. Like, definitely, it's really just how bad you want it. Like, if you want it, you'll be able to move up as long as you're determined and you work as hard as you can. You'll move up, you'll advance. But if you are happy with where you are and there's nothing wrong with that, you just sort of are at a standstill, but nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I feel like Jada said, it's kind of all up to, like, what you want to make of it and how hard you want to push. And going back to what I said about summer intensives, I think doing those over the summer is really beneficial if you want to move up, because you're learning from those other teachers over the summer. It's not like you're not taking any dance classes. So you have plenty of training over the summer to keep moving up in your technique and stuff.
And the summer trainings really, like, set you apart from those who, like, don't do anything over the summer. Then you really, like, you just find ways, like, little ways to advance yourself. Like, not even in a competitive way, just, like, a self-determination. And that's how you sort of get ahead and, like, advance, I guess.
Yeah, like, personally, I did Point Park summer program and
me too.
CPYB, it's ballet summer program. And I really think those helped me, like, build up on my training.
Do you guys feel like Grier gives you more opportunities than if you were still at a normal studio?
Oh, definitely. I mean, at my old studio, it was a pretty small studio. I mean, we did competitions, but it was nothing really serious. We had, like, a recital at the end of the year, but it was pretty standard. But here, it's like, a little part of, like, the whole world. Like, everything, like, comes here. Like, everybody comes here, like, for you. And it's just really an opening, like, to everything.
A big difference, like, at Grier as opposed to, like, a regular studio. Regular studios usually do one dance for the entire year, like, for a class. Like, you'll learn your ballet dance in, like, July, and then you'll perform it in May, but that's the same thing you're working on throughout the entire year. At Grier, it's just different. Like, we have to learn a piece in a week. Like, it could be a 12-minute piece in the 4 hours we have that week. So it's definitely, like, you kind of have to really work for it and really pay attention and focus. Like, when you have that time with choreographers, which I think is different from a lot of studios, at least with my experience before coming to Grier. And you also have to have the ability to, like, pick up choreography, which I think is
huge difference.
A huge difference. And that's kind of clear in classes we take too, like how we pick it up as opposed to other people. So I think, So, like, for every show we have, like, Gala show, winter show, spring show, parents weekend show, grad show, plenty of shows. All of the above. We have tech week the week before usually, like, in a standard show. So Monday, Tuesday, we'll usually, like, have our rehearsals. Tech week is really rough, I'd say, on us at least, just because we have to run our dances so many times. So we'll run our pieces Monday, Tuesday, usually not in costumes. We'll just do it with the lights in full space, which the dance studio at Grier is literally a football field. So it's like running a marathon. But so we'll run full space on Monday and Tuesday, and then we'll usually do dress rehearsal Wednesday, Thursday, have our show Friday. We get notes from our teachers on the days we do dress rehearsal. I mean, every day we get notes, but we sit down and, like, actually talk about it on dress rehearsal days. And I think Tech Week is honestly really great. I love Tech Week. I mean,
I
it's
do
really
too.
rough on our bodies, but we get to see everybody else's dances, which
That's my
I
favorite
love.
part.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a good experience. Like Tech Week, like yes, it's brutal to put it slightly, but like it's a really great opportunity because it's my favorite week because we get to see everybody else like do their dances, and it's like really a community at that point, and that's when you all come together. Like PrePro, we're our own community, and we always like watch each other and like support each other, and then it's really just a great opportunity whenever you get to see the whole like Grier dance and like see everybody in their own like dances and really get to see them shine and support them, and it feels like such a great time.
Yeah, I love Tech Week because that you finally have an audience. Like, it's not just you doing the dance for, like, Jossie or Danielle. Like, you finally have other people, I don't know, people clapping for me. It's a great feeling.
An audience, like, they always say, like, oh, you have such a different personality when the lights come on. Like, an audience just really motivates you more than doing it in front of yourself in a mirror. Like,
yeah, and, like, there's something about, like, the lights, and, like, they can't see out into, like, the seats.
Yeah, you can't see anything.
There's something about it that just, like, makes the experience 10 times better. And, yeah.
So, Lexi, as a senior, what colleges are you currently looking at? Are you planning on dancing still?
Yeah, so I've definitely been, like, heavy into academics my entire life at Grier, and I really want to continue that. I'm planning on doing pre-med when I go to college, so I've been looking at a few dance programs, but I did early decision to UVA, so if I get in there, that's binding. They don't have a dance program actively, but they do have a partnership with the Charlottesville Ballet, so I'm kind of interested in that. So I don't want to completely quit dance because it's been such a huge part of my life for so long. So I'm planning on either, like, joining a dance ensemble or working with the ballet in Charlottesville. So we'll see. I mean, I don't want to completely lose it. I love dance, so yeah.
How do you guys feel like PrePro versus the other parts of the company? Like, what are the differences?
Yeah, so PrePro, like, I feel like once you get to PrePro, it's such a select group. Like, this year there's only 8 of us, so, I mean, it's definitely small compared to, like, hip-hop, per se, because...
Especially, like, if, well, like, some of the 8 of us get injured, like, 2 at a time, or, like, injured usually, and then it's, the difference between 8 and 6 dancers in a company is, like, immense. It feels huge. It feels like you're missing everybody out there. It feels like a solo, basically. So, like, you really, like, don't understand how big of a role that everybody plays until you're in such a small, select group.
Yeah, and everybody's really tight, and I feel like once you reach PrePro, like, you usually start in an intermediate. It's kind of rare that somebody comes straight into PrePro when they come to Grier. So I think that, like, PrePro, you grow up with those people. Like Jada said, I was there on her tour, so, like, we were kind of already familiar with each other. Like, whenever I at least started in PrePro, and then now she's in PrePro, which is great. But PrePro, it's just such, like, we're such a family. We're with each other so much because we travel, like, for the National High School Dance Festival. We go to Pittsburgh to perform. So we're always together, and I think it kind of takes our bond to, like, another level because, like, in some intermediate classes, someone might not take this one. They might take intermediate ballet, but they might not take hip-hop. But we're with each other all day. So I think that's something that, like, kind of sets us apart and kind of makes PrePro.
Yeah, and I think you can definitely tell that on stage, too. Like, everybody looks great on stage, like, don't get me wrong, but I mean, like, I feel like, and I've been told that, like, PrePro just, like, even when I was watching them as an intermediate, it's always, you can just tell there's just something different about the bond that you can tell, like, they are so close. Like, even if someone's fighting with someone else in PrePro, you come together when you dance. Like, that's not an option. Like, you can't be fighting, like, on stage. That doesn't exist. You just come together as a company, and that's that.
Yeah, and I feel like we all know a lot about each other. Like, we know each other's school schedules. Like, we know what we're going through, like, together, and we kind of voice, like, how we're feeling.
And it's so nice to have, like, such like a small group of people that go through the exact same thing you're going through. Like, at old studios, like, nobody really understood, like, what my day at school was like, or, like, what, like, I was feeling at dance, because it was sort of like everybody's separated. But here it's like they know exactly how I'm feeling. Like, they can tell if I'm off. Like, then they can do what they can to help me like get out of my funk, or just like get back on beat and really motivate.
Yeah, I feel like especially with the boarding school setting too, like dancing and having academics at the same place, and most of us live here. It's just nice because we all go and we eat dinner together. We usually all eat lunch together. Like we're really tight.
How do you guys feel like Grier supports dance and academics? Like,
I feel like, especially having PrePro as like an 8th period class, it's considered one of our electives. And so having that 8th period really sort of sets you ahead like in other aspects. And the balance between school and dance, it's tough. I can't lie. It's definitely challenging, sometimes more than others, but they make it accessible. Like, it's not impossible. Like, it's definitely doable, and we all do it. I mean, we all go through it, and most of us in PrePro, we're all very academic people as well. So you find your ways to get through it, and like I said before, like, everybody is going through the same thing, so it's not like you're doing anything alone. Like, you all understand. You have people to talk to, and we have like study hall, so it's never impossible to get your work done. It can just be a lot of sometimes, but you get through it. You build your mental strength.
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot of support too. Like at Grier, a lot of people are there. Like,
and every teacher is very understanding, I feel like, of what we were doing.
Yeah, and a lot of people are there to like make sure you're doing okay. Like, make sure you're not overwhelmed, because like it can get overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, the 4 years I've been in it, there's been some rough times, but there's honestly like so much support to do dance, but also be academic. And like Jada said, I think 8th period isn't great. I mean, we used to have 7th and 8th, but I really like just having 8th because then I can fill up my schedule with academic classes too. But we still have plenty of hours for dance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like my favorites this year would be Danielle's Contep and probably Darrell's piece. Because Koresh, nobody gets Koresh.
Yeah,
so
nobody
so I just
okay,
feel weird.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah,
what is the plot? Because
okay.
I have had people
I wanna
ask
explain.
me.
You take it, girl.
Okay, so Roni Koresh set negative space, and originally
It's like a full play.
it's
like
a full
movie.
work. It's like 40 minutes at least. So in the original cast, there was a man who was like supposed to be a homeless man. So the whole concept is that,
and these like the 13 minutes that we're doing is like just an excerpt of like random bits and pieces of this 2-hour work. Like,
so basically what negative space is about is it's about this homeless man who's on the street, and he's seeing everybody go around him, like everybody going throughout their lives. Like, it would just be like us walking around campus and somebody sitting there watching us. But then you put on the goggles.
right.
And it kind of puts you in that like streamlined place.
I feel like, to me, like, that is the meaning, but like, to me, my personal like interpretation of it, like along the guidelines of what they told us, is like, whenever we have our goggles on, like we're like closed off, we're like closed off to society, and we're not really like aware of this like homeless man, and like we're not out trying, like we're not like we're not trying to help anybody. We're just like in our own path, and like when we have the goggles on, it's like the only time is when we're like walking about, and we're like looking sporadic, and like we're just like completely unaware of what everybody else is doing. And then when we take our goggles off, like we all dance together, and we like become a group, and like that's what I feel like.
Yeah, that's good. I don't really think about much when I do it. I mean,
Well,
goggles on.
every time somebody asks me about it, that's what I say. It's just like, we're closed off, and now we're one big group.
Yeah, I feel like when Crush like originally did it, it was probably more clear.
Yeah.
Because they had a person. I mean, we have someone doing that part, but for bits and pieces of the dance.
It makes more sense if it wasn't excerpts. Like,
yeah, it would make more sense.
full
if it was
work
the
would
whole
make
work.
sense.
Yeah.
I remember, because I've seen it twice now.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there the first time, and I'm like, oh, it's just one of those weird dances again.
Right.
Because, I mean, The Hunt was the same way.
Yeah.
I didn't get the plot, but, you know,
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching it. It was still a great dance.
Even when
mean,
I don't understand the like meaning of a dance, like sometimes like it's just like, I don't know, like The Hunt, every time there was this one part at the end, as soon as they all start screaming, I would sob. Like, I just sobbed. And I couldn't tell you what it meant. I was just like, something was like fighting, and like that's all I got. But it just like something about the movement, and like especially like the vocalizing of like the fighting, like I don't know, it just really got me, and I cried every time.
Hot take, I love screaming in dances.
Hot take, I thought it was so weird until I was in PrePro.
Yeah.
Watching it, I was like, what are they doing? But like now, now that we scream and we talk during the dance, I feel like I know in the audience, most people that don't understand the arts are watching and they're like, what are they doing? Like, this is so strange. But
honestly, coming to Grier, because I used to dance a little bit, 12 years of my life, but I never have seen a dance before coming here that there was screaming in the middle of the dance, like all of a sudden, and now people are screaming, and it was definitely interesting.
It's a little shocking at first, but like now that like I'm like in a dance where that's what we're doing, it makes so much sense, and I feel I love it now. Like it really makes the dance full to me now. Like some dances it wouldn't make sense obviously to be talking and screaming, you know, but like some dances it just fits, and like without it would feel incomplete, I feel
like from my personal experience, like I was in the hunt, I mean, I don't think I could have gone through it without screaming. Like it's just like something like you feel like you're like letting it all out.
Yeah,
and
like you wait for that moment, and then
that was at the end of a 13-minute piece. That's brutal. Like that piece is insane. So I mean, I love screaming, but
yeah, I personally, just from an audience standpoint, I think Grier's dances are so different from going to a competition.
Oh, definitely.
And just I feel like dances get so repetitive when you're just going to a random competition, because it's always, you know, the popular songs and all that. But I feel like, and every once in a while there'll be like a really like popular song that Grier does, but honestly a lot of them are like things I would have never just like sat there and listened to. Yeah. And there they are, and it always turns out like amazing. I think everything.
Yeah, it really makes you like, I don't know, take a step back and like see things differently. I feel like. Yeah, and I think that's the difference like that changes between once you get to PrePro. It's more, you can tell that it's like pre-professional. Like it's right before you're professional. Like that's as close as you can get to it without being.
Yeah, and I'd say like, this isn't really something I think about that much, but a lot of our dances don't have words. It's just like instrumental
music, and like the music, I don't care how many times they tell you there are counts, there are not counts. There are no counts. They like, don't exist. You're literally out there guessing. Like that sounds ridiculous and terrible and horrifying, but that's the reality of it. You're like out there guessing, praying that you're on the same time as them. I mean, you get used to it. The more you do a dance, you get comfortable with the music. And you kind of like make up your own counts in a way. Like you hear like certain things in the music and you're like, okay, that's like a landmark almost. But that's pretty much all you have to base off of it.
Like, you know, it is hilarious to hear you say that, because we're all sitting in the audience and we're like, how do they do this? Like they're all together at all times. Like it's insane.
It's hard work. Like I think that's the hardest part of it. Not even like learning the choreo, executing the choreo. It's the
making sure we're all together,
like
because people count it differently. Like or Darrell's piece, it's counted
2 and a 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 and a 2 and a 1 2 3 4 5 6 7.
Like that's not
not like, counted.
No,
like,
that's not an 8 count. Like
yeah, and then there's like dances that are like 3.5 counts.
Yeah.
Like what's going on?
Like it's always, you have to find the way that works best for you.
Definitely.
But it's also
works for the whole group.
In the group, yeah.
It sounds complicated.
Just a little.
Just a tad.
And like getting notes and everything, like it gets really tiring. But like then when you do it on stage, like everything clicks because you realize like, oh, that all paid off. But sometimes when you're getting notes, it's excruciating.
Everything's like really, I feel like it's really detail oriented.
Yeah,
once you get
definitely.
to PrePro, it's like,
that's the biggest difference, I feel like.
Is it diagonal or is it
and like there's not just diagonal, there's like up
down,
diagonal, down diagonal. Like you really dissect each dance.
Yeah, like
and like for these dances to be that long, like our average dance is probably like 7
minutes at least.
And to dissect every half a count of those dances is just
like
a lot.
And you're 6 minutes in, and you have to remember if your palm is facing out or if it's down or if it's
what
back.
Angle,
like,
yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
On my way home from Gala, the performance, I was sitting in the car with some family members, And my great aunt says to me, she goes, I don't get it. How do they do it for that long and remember everything? And I was like, honestly, I don't know. Couldn't tell
I feel
you.
like the thing everybody asks about dance is like, how do you remember all that? But like at one point it just clicks. Like at one point it's just like, it just becomes muscle memory, honestly.
Because we have like 60 minutes of rep.
Yeah,
Like if you add everything together, like that's crazy.
And like 60 minutes, not just of rep, but like of notes for
Of
each second of that.
Yeah.
Is insane.
So.
And it's just a lot to think about. But honestly, when I'm on stage, I black out.
Yeah.
Like when I'm on stage,
Like I couldn't tell you what happened.
Nothing goes through my
stage.
brain. Not a thing. My body just takes control at that point. And when it messes up, I'm like, well, shoot, I guess. I'm like, nothing I can do about it now.
You hope it's muscle memory by the time it hits the show because
of how much you do
stage,
it just has to be. Like, there's no second guessing once you're on the stage. It's just hope for the best.
Hope for the best.
That's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you guys for joining me today. I'm Maya.
Jada.
Lexi.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Grier Podcast. Our podcast is recorded, edited, and written by the students of the Grier School AV Club. The opinions shared in this episode are those of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the views of the school or any of its staff. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.